Thanks so much, everyone, for staying with us right on the program. So today, the Police Service Commission, the PSC, has approved the retirement of police officers above 60 years old or have spent 35 years in service. The PSC took the decision at an extraordinary meeting, citing public service rule, which provides for the retirement of those who have attained those years or years of service. The statement by Egbetokun, the head press and public relations officer at the PSC, says that they did not provide any clue of how many officers may be affected. But the statement says that the commission had its 24th plenary meeting on of 27th and 28th September 2017, which approved that the force entrants should have their date of appointment in the force against the date of their enlistment. Let's speak to someone who is in the Mr. Ugolaya is a senior advocate of Nigeria. It's live for us and give us a sense of what exactly is happening. And those will be wondering, does the police service, good evening, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Good evening, Jill.
Does the Police Service Commission have powers over the retirement discipline of the IG? Because I want us to clarify, this statement affects senior officers, but does the PSC have powers based on the act to discipline, retire, or appoint the IG?
Thank you, Sheil. The Office of the Inspector General of Police is a creation of statute, which is the Police Act. That act, in its section 7, makes that office an office that is operated by law. Now, if you look at subsection 6 of that section, the section creates the tenure of office of the Inspector General of Police. The same Police Act has provisions in its section 18, particularly section 18 sub 8, that retires any member of the police force that has been in service for 35 years or has attained the age of 60 years. What is clear from this in the first instance is that, number one, the provision of section 18 that applies to police officers, every police officer, is a general provision, whereas the provision of section 7 that relates specifically to the office of the IG is a specific provision. To that extent, the law that is being given effect to by the Police Service Commission, which is section 18, does not apply in terms of the tenure of the IG. Addition to that is that the National Assembly has recently made an amendment to the provision, in fact, of that section 18, to introduce a new subsection 8 sub A.
Through the back door?
The National Assembly does not amend laws through the back door. Once an act of the National Assembly is passed, and this point I must say that it is important as Nigerians that we respect our institutions. It is not possible for the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to pass an act through the back door.
Is it suspicious, though, that that law was amended and it just fell right on the lap of Egbetokun?
Well, the reality of the matter is that when state institutions act, the presumption of regularity follows their actions. And so as it relates to persons, we must be careful in looking at actions of state institutions. When the National Assembly amended the Police Act, the question you must ask is, was the procedure as stipulated in the Constitution for the amendment of such a statute, was it followed? It was followed. Assuming, without conceding, that there is also an issue, for instance, with any act of the National Assembly, the Constitution contains provisions that donates the powers to the court to review or revoke such a statute. the amendment that was done to the Police Act is still subsisting. And so it is the law of Nigeria as of today. Now, that law stipulates that the occupant of the office of the Inspector General of Police shall be entitled to a 4-year certain tenure, notwithstanding the provision of Section 18 sub 8. And I think that relays the issue to rest completely.
So let's look at it. By all standards for which the Police Service Commission today acted on senior officers, and it says immediate retirement, Mr. Egbetokun has fallen into that bracket and basket. Mr. Egbetokun is above the age of 60. Mr. Egbetokun would have served 35 years in service. So by the virtue of the position and extant laws that the PSC has made reference to, Mr. Egbetokun has walked into that basket. Shouldn't Mr. Egbetokun also be retiring?
Well, Shehu, I do not agree with you that Mr. Egbetokun should be retiring. And this is my reason. If you look at the provision of Section 7 that I just alluded to, firstly, the IG is appointed by the President on the recommendation or advice of the Police Council. That particular provision does not contain any reference to the Police Service Commission. So to that extent, it is my respectful submission that the Police Service Commission has no power to retire the IG. They don't have powers to retire the IG.
So who has the power to remove the IG or to appoint? The power of the president to appoint the IG is in the PSC is supposed to advise the president in consultation with the PSC.
The Police Council.
The Police Council, right?
Yes. Not the Police Service Commission.
The Police Service Commission deals with discipline, retirement, and welfare of police officers. Is that right?
Exactly.
So Police Council is involved in appointment of the IG.
Exactly.
And they advise the president, or they are in advisory capacity to the president and appointment of the IG.
Exactly.
Now, in this sense, if you look at what is Section 7 you were making reference to, and I'd like our viewers to be able to join in the conversation. If you take a look at it, subsection 7, 4, and 5, from subsection 7.3, part 3 of that of the Act says, this Inspector General of Police shall be appointed by the President on the advice of the Police Council from among 7 members of the police force. And subsection 4 says, the Inspector General of Police shall not be removed from office except for gross misconduct, gross violation of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, or demonstrated incapacity to effectively discharge the duties of the office. Subsection 5 says, the Inspector General of Police shall only be removed from office by the President on the advice of the Police Council. And subsection 6 says, the person appointed to the office of the Inspector General shall hold office for 4 years.
Just like I had alluded to earlier, it is he who appoints, which is the president in the present circumstance, that has the power to also remove. So to that extent, what the law stipulates obviates what the Police Service Commission has done, to the extent that they intend their declaration to apply to the IG, which they never even mentioned.
So it cannot affect the IG. It doesn't affect the IG.
It does not.
Was the president right, or is it right for the president to keep an IG that is above the age of 60 and is served 35 years still in office?
My answer to your question is yes, and this is why. When a law is to be made or is to be amended, in our jurisprudence, you look at the purpose or what you call the ill that the law seeks to correct. Prior to now, you will find that an IG of police is appointed. Before he stays for 1 year or 2 years in office, his tenure is purportedly said to have lapsed. Whatever program that is being implemented by that particular IG ends in many cases with the tenure. However, by the nature of the police structure that we have in Nigeria and the complex security situation that we are experiencing or we have experienced, you will see the need, and you would certainly understand why the National Assembly will want certainty of tenure for the occupant of the office of the IG. When you look at the powers and the functions of that office, the IG designs the program that informs the direction of the police for the tenure of his office. That is why it is necessary for certainty of tenure. Now, the fact that what the Act has always stipulated is that the IG can only be removed if he is incapacitated. He didn't mention anything that relates to age. And you and I know that the fact that a man is 60 does not mean that the man is incapacitated. We have an IG in Mr. Egbetokun who clearly has taken the Nigerian police from where we used to know it to where it looks right now as where we want it to be. In my own opinion, I would say that there is need for deep reorganization of the police. In recent time, we have had a couple of agitations in Nigeria, particularly that has to do with the police. And this government, in the period of its campaign, promised Nigerians that it will implement policies that will address the security concerns that has to do particularly with the police in Nigeria. One of such is the amendment that was done to the Police Act to bring certainty of tenure to the office of the Inspector General of Police.
So let's look at so yesterday, later in the evening, and the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation released a statement, and they said it's just to correct the notion in the public space. And this is what the AGF office says. It says the appointment of Egbetokun, which took effect from the 31st day of October 2023, would have come to an end on his attainment of 60 years of age on the 4th day of September 2024, which is last year. However, before his retirement age, the Police Act was amended to allow the occupant of the office to remain and complete the original 4-year term granted under Section 7(6) of the Act, which says, notwithstanding the fact that he has attained the age of 60 years, it has therefore statutorily extended the tenure of office of Egbetokun to and including 31st day of October 2027 in order to complete the 4-year tenure granted to him. For the avoidance of doubt, Egbetokun's continuous stay in office is in line with the provisions of the Police Act amended in 2024, which allowed the occupant of the office to enjoy a term of 4 years effective from the date of his appointment as IGP. In this case, 31st day of October 2023. The question here, Leonard Siok, is based on what the AGF says, that the law was amended to allow the occupant of the office to enjoy his 4 years. Why would the law be amended for one person?
First things first, the law was not amended for one person.
Let me read that portion again.
Yes.
However, before his retirement age, the Police Act was amended to allow the occupant of the office to remain and complete the original 4-year term granted under subsection 7(c) of the Act, notwithstanding the fact that he has attained the age of 60 years. The question is that the man is in office and you are amending the law to make him enjoy and benefit from the 4-year. There are 2 other IGPs who have served in the tenure or in the period in which the law was amended in 2020, and they couldn't enjoy it. They were removed from office.
Yes.
So why is Egbetokun special?
The situation that occasioned with the 2 previous IGs that were in office under the 2020 Act is that the direction of the government is different now. Under the present administration, like I had earlier alluded, there is hands on deck willing to address issues that affect the security architecture of the nation. It has nothing to do with Egbetokun. It has to do with the sanctity of the office of the Inspector General of Police and the direction that the government is taking the nation. A government comes and sees a problem, which is that Inspector General of Police after Inspector General of Police are not able to implement any serious, enduring program by virtue of their tenure in office. And then an amendment is done to the law. And by the way, because you asked the question, why is it that the amendment was done during his tenure? You will remember, Sheung, the fourth alteration to the Constitution, when it was done, particularly in Section 285, to limit the time that the court has to attend to pre-election matter. If you remember what the Supreme Court did, once a law is adjectival or procedural in nature, its effect can be retrospective. That's the Supreme Court for you. In Obayemi Toyin against Arogundade, Supreme Court says if the provision of a statute is regulating particularly time, as in the case of the tenure of retirement, it can apply in retrospect. And I dare say to you too, that if you look at the provision of that section 18 sub 8, which had always been in the 2020 Act anyway, it says every police officer, which I contend is a general provision. And then if you look at section 7, it applies specifically to the office of the Inspector General of Police. And it dictates that he has a 4-year tenure. Now, where there is a conflict between the provision of a general provision and a specific provision, the law is that the specific provision will prevail. So to that extent, whether you look at it from the angle of the 2020 Act or the amendment that was done in 2024, he has 4 years, and 4 years he ought to use in office.
So in this sense, you heard what someone like Sowore has said. He said the IGP is an illegal IG. The IGP is an unconstitutional IG. He's unconstitutionally occupying that office. What do you make of those claims Sowore is making?
You know what I would say to Nigerians? We have only one country, which is the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It behoves on us as citizens of this nation to ensure that our institutions are protected and be very careful in some of the utterances that we make. I agree with you, Nigeria is a work in progress. It is very wrong, sir, for any Nigerian or anybody whatsoever to make a bold statement that the office of the Inspector General of Police is illegally occupied when there is a statute that has been passed by the National Assembly that legitimately puts him in that office. Now, the Constitution creates the court in Section 6 and gives it powers to adjudicate on issues. The court has not set aside that amendment. The court has not declared that office or the occupant of it to say that the occupant is occupying it illegally. It is therefore wrong for anybody to assume the position of adjudication and make such a bold statement, which is his own opinion. Mr. Sowore is entitled to express his opinion because there is freedom of expression in Nigeria. But what we should not do is to mistake our opinions and use it to replace facts and law, because that would in itself be wrong. And my opinion is that upon a proper appreciation of the law, particularly taking into consideration the amendment to the Act in 2024 and the declaration or statement or advisory issued by the Office of the Honorable Attorney General, Egbetokun, our Honorable Inspector General of Police, is legitimately occupying his office. That is the law.
Well, I mean, how do you then repose the confidence that have been somewhat that has been withering because of these question mark about whether or not the president was wrong whether or not the law was wrongly applied, or whether or not Egbetokun is unlawfully enjoying the benefit of the law and is illegally, according to Showore, occupying the office. The police and the IG office is an institution that opposes the law and effect or apply the law in the country. But how can it carry out its duties with all of these weight and all of this burden?
Thank you. You see, for me, and this is a very good question, I will start addressing your question by first speaking to the average Nigerian. And to say again, we do not have another country. The Nigerian police is an institution of Nigeria that is responsible for the protection of Nigerians. And so if we whittle down that institution, we have only whittled down ourselves. To the policeman, you are also a Nigerian. And so when you make life impossible for the Nigerian, you have only made life difficult or impossible for yourself. My dad will say that that policeman you see on the road is someone's father, is somebody's brother, is somebody's husband, is somebody's family. The blood in his vein is the same like the blood in your vein. But I want to inverse that statement and address it also in this manner. My friend, Mr. Police Officer, you see that Nigerian that is approaching you at that checkpoint, whether he be driving a Mercedes-Benz C-Class, or he be carrying an afro on his head, or he be wearing a T-shirt, or he be dressed like I'm dressed now, he is also a Nigerian. So Egbetokun is validly occupying the office, and the PSC, Section 6 of the PSC Establishment Act says it doesn't have power over the IGP. And of course, in all of this, one thing that is very fundamental is that the police is serving in the interest of Nigeria. But I saw the president of the NBA who escorted Showore to the court. Is the NBA as well? That is embodiment of your association? Is it saying that Showore is illegally being prosecuted, or whatever police is doing to Showore is wrong? I'm not going to be speaking for the Nigerian Bar Association because I have not had the privilege of speaking directly to the president on this issue. But I will address the matter of the NBA from what the NBA stands for, which is promoting the rule of law. So where a Nigerian citizen is being prosecuted or is facing trial over a matter, it falls absolutely within the confines of what the NBA is set up to do, to be in court, to monitor proceedings, and ensure that the rule of law is upheld. So I don't see anything that the president did that is out of order. Mr. Egbetokun, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria, thank you so much for explaining some aspect of this law for us. Thank you so much indeed. I appreciate it.